Hey guys, welcome back to a new video. I'm Stephanie Fisher. I'm a licensed counselor here in the state of Michigan, and I am owner and operator of In Progress Counseling. We're working our way through the defense mechanism hierarchy, and we're looking at the different strategies that in the earlier kind of stages of the hierarchy, we would consider them immature strategies, meaning they're not really great adult to adult strategies. They're not reciprocal, mutually respectful, boundaried, firm, helpful ways of conversation. They're laced in some immature strategies with some type of attempt to get our needs met, some type of attempt to come back to emotional regulation, but it's not going to be the mature form of what we can do when there's something disruptive happening for us or something uncomfortable going on inside of us or between us and other people. So we started last week talking about that order one immature acting out, where the behavior is doing the communication and the goal is to bring us back into some sort of emotional rebalancing. Today we're going to talk about the other two features that show up, or the other two defense mechanisms that show up as order one immature defenses. The first one is passive aggressiveness, and the second one is going to be help, reject, complaining. You're going to notice I do have a reference sheet here because, again, the goal of these videos is to language and practice languaging these different defense mechanisms so I can get more comfortable in my languaging of them. But the second one, passive aggressiveness, you think about what is that saying compared to acting out. Acting out is where my behavior is communicating. Well, passive aggressiveness is pretty similar actually, but I'm going to say one thing and I'm going to behave differently. So now we have a fracture between what I'm saying or what I'm agreeing to or what I'm pretending to be compliant in, but then my behavior is going to do the exact opposite. Or I'm going to communicate one thing to you, but the truth is the opposite of it. And so we use passive aggressive quite freely in our lexicon. It's very much a part of how we talk about different people's communication styles. And so when I say someone is being passive aggressive, we're talking about, the person that says like, oh, I'm fine. I don't need anything from you. I'm fine. And it's like, well, you're not fine. Everything about your behavior tells me you're not fine, but your words are saying this other thing. And so again, we have this fracture showing up. And one of the ways the ego might be protecting itself there is maybe, I don't want you to know I have needs, or I don't want you to know that you're hurting me, or actually you can't hurt me. Well, we've talked before, that's actually not true. We have a lot of influence over one another. Humans were built for connection. They're built for collaboration. And so when we're not getting our needs met or we're not being met in a space of vulnerability, some of these strategies show up to try to protect us. And passive aggressiveness is a very immature, but possibly it feels like a helpful strategy. The help, reject, complaining one, the second one, or now we're talking about the third one, it's the last at that base of defense mechanism hierarchy. The help, rejecting, complaining means that I'm going to make a bid for your help somehow, but any solution you give me, I'm going to reject it. So I might say something like, oh, I don't have anyone to talk to. And so I say, well, you can talk to me. Yeah, but you don't let me call you on the phone. I really need a phone call. Well, actually, I might be available, not all the time, but maybe Thursday night I have a time open. Yep, that's the one time that doesn't work for me. So the person is making a bid for some type of help. They're alleging that they need support, but what they're doing is they're pushing away any attempt to support them. Again, there's a function to it. Maybe the goal is self-protection. Maybe the goal is to elicit other things from another person, but I'm not being direct with my language. I'm saying one thing with my language and then my behavior is communicating something else, or I'm inviting you closer, but when you decide that you're available, I push you back away. So these fractures are very much a consistent piece of some of these more immature functions. Very confusing to interact with, especially if you're a healthy adult and you want to be helpful and you think someone's inviting you in, but instead you experience them pushing you away, or you think someone is being authentic with their words, but instead they behave the opposite. It is very disorienting potentially. but we would put these as the person might be defending themselves or protecting themselves somehow. It serves a function for them. It could be back in their story at some point, maybe they didn't have a caretaker who was consistent, and so they've learned to take care of themselves. Maybe they had models for them to be passive aggressive to get their needs met, and so they're just repeating some of the cycles of what they were invited into. There's a host of reasons why someone might emotionally be in this space. And again, our goal often with therapy is to help to mature someone past needing these types of strategies. And so I had one of my professors had asked us, last semester, hey, how would you simply define mental health? There's an M. Scott Peck quote I use often with you guys, so I'm not going to be redundant there, but I use the words congruence and coherence. Coherence is I can tell you my story. Congruence is my thoughts, my behaviors, my emotions, and my perceptions all line up together. These strategies are fractures. The thoughts or the behaviors or the emotions or the perceptions, they're going in all different directions. We wouldn't say that's mentally healthy. We would say that's immature. And over time, you can mature those. That's actually a lot of the work that we get to do together. So even if you see these strategies, what we want to do is if you see them in yourself, hey, we can work on that. And these videos will continue to build out what more mature functioning is. If you see them in someone else, we can do another video series on inviting in those adult to adult interactions. If you go back to the videos on transactional analysis, that's a key piece of the boundary work that I get to do with people, and that's a key piece of maturation work that I get to do with people. We want to say what we need to say. We want to mean what we're saying. We want to respond congruently with what we're saying. That's a lot of what maturing is.